Together, let's embark on a scientific exploration of yoga, where you are the scientist, your heart is the laboratory, and you are the outcome.
Namaste everyone and welcome to Astha. Today we'll be taking our talks further, especially on this concept of consciousness. Earlier we have seen this consciousness, if you make a circle of it, what influenced this particular circle of consciousness. Our Shastras, they talk about that consciousness gets really influenced heavily by our own ahankar, our own ego. Next thing that influences our consciousness is also the way we think, the role of our mind and heart. It plays both positively as well as negatively. Similarly, ego, it has its own positive influence as well as negative influence. Third major factor also is intelligence, how we use our intelligence, the positive way or the negative way. Science can create a lot of researches and make the world even more comfortable, more harmonious, more creative, instead of destructive. This creativity as well as destruction, this aspect of creativity as well as its ability to destroy things, is part of intelligence. Thinking and feeling, how they are balanced in our existence. Similarly, my way or highway type of attitude, ego, can heavily influence this consciousness. When we talk about the dialogue between the King Janaka and sage Astavakra, we remain baffled when King Janaka asked he asked three fundamental questions. How to attain higher knowledge, how to get liberated, and how to remain unattached, or how to develop non-attachment. Sage Astavakra wastes no time, he comes straight to the point. So develop these 5 fundamental qualities and treat all other things like sensual pleasures as SVYASA, as poison. And which 5 qualities he highlighted? Ultimately, if the purpose of our existence is the evolution of consciousness, then we have to understand that these 5 qualities will help our consciousness evolve. These 5 qualities, number 1 being compassion. Imagine if a person doesn't have compassion, how will that person's consciousness behave? If that person is not truthful, always lying, diverting situations, diverting talks, cheating, how will that person's consciousness be? And as we go further, truthfulness, sincerity, and forgiving nature, they all come together, contribute towards the evolution of consciousness. It frees us. Somehow it liberates us, our heart, from the heavy burden of guilt. The biggest thing that hurts us at a consciousness level is guilt. Oh, something I could have done to save my mother, or something that I could have told my mother I'm sorry before she passed on. All the unfinished business, guilt. Guilt have a very heavy toll on our consciousness. So it is imperative that we complete our duties. Not only complete our duties, but also complete them in time. Something that you could have done immediately to save someone's life. And after that poor person is struggling and he gets up on his own after a long struggle, and then you go and say, "Oh, I'm here to help you," it's too late. So we should not delay even in completing our duties. Timely completion is very important. When we talk about how intelligence play a part in evolution of consciousness, we can understand its role when we understand the negative part or negative function of this intelligence in evolution of our consciousness. How so? When we wrongly use our intelligence, it has its negative impact on the expansion of consciousness. When we have learned something through experience, this experience outweighs the need for intelligence. We become wiser in the process. A meditative mind need not go through the actual process of experiencing. No doubt, experience is better than knowledge. Yet, a meditative mind is able to pick what may go wrong if we do such and such a thing. That is universal intelligence that is guiding a meditative mind, what we call discriminative intelligence, what we call viveka. Viveka means, or discriminative intelligence means something that guides us to differentiate between what is right, what is wrong, what is profitable, what is not so profitable, what is the cause and what is effect. So we become more and more wiser and more discriminative as we advance with our consciousness because of this development of meditative mind. So meditation ultimately helps in regulating our mind. It also helps us sharpening our intelligence. If we have to study the whole process the way we understood how thinking gets evolved into feeling, and it is the feeling, more refined a feeling, more sensitive you are, better the perception. And the way this perception develops, the intelligence comes into the picture and say, I must respond to this call, something that I'm feeling, I must respond to it with intelligence. Now, when we talk of intellect, higher form of this intellect is intelligence. You are responding now. Intellect is static, intelligence is dynamic. And when this intelligence is combined with your own intuition, it further escalates into a sort of wisdom. Wisdom that we talked earlier about, how a meditative mind straight away goes to this aspect of intuition or wisdom. It bypasses other factors. So, meditation helps us develop and sensitize the ability to perceive things, and because of this increased sensitivity, we are able to intuit, and this intuition further guides us to become wiser, meaning making less and less mistakes. Also, meaning making right or correct choices in life at every little step. This is the beauty of yoga. People say, what do you do with closing your eyes? Mysterious things unfolds when you close our eyes and meditate, especially in a heartfulness way with pranahuti. Often people meditate. There are many people I have seen, oh sir, I am also meditating. But I assure you, with all humility, with all confidence, that you will never regret this heartfulness way of meditation, which is aided with pranahuti from a capable guide, from a capable guru. I invite you all to meditate today with me with pranahuti. Process is very simple. You have to focus very gently with a subtle idea that the divine light, the source of all, is already present in my heart, and I'm meditating on that. With this idea, with this very subtle sankalpa, visit with a receptive and open heart that I am also receiving this pranahuti, which is helping me meditate. Now let us all meditate. Please start meditation. That's all. Press. We have many questions, but we selected 2 questions for this time because of time. Number 1 question is from Sister Sonali Sharma from Delhi. Will meditation help us during these COVID times? I feel so afraid of what can happen to my family and friends as well as my own health. Sonali ji, your concern, your anxiety is not out of place. I do feel for a lot of families who are already succumbed to this pandemic. And what we hear and see, its impact on our elderly. And when we see we have elderly family members with compromised health, naturally we would worry. Worry is okay. It is only through worries, I think, we can come up with some solution. But if you become depressed, if you develop a level of anxiety and keep brooding over it, it will not help. Suppose if you are a nurse and you are nursing your mother during her sickness and you keep crying, what is the use of such a nurse? You have to stand on your legs with courage and do your duties. Meditation does help. Meditation reduces the stress level, anxiety level. And when such is the case, your immunity also improves. You will have a clear mind. You will have a clear understanding of what to do next. And when you close your eyes and meditate, at every moment you can be guided because of this flow of pranahuti that constantly keeps on changing our consciousness, keeps on guiding us. So I wish that you meditate and see the impact. Just don't trust my words. Do it and see how it can really help us. All the best to you. We have another question from Shri Singh from Jhansi. I have so many times tried to change myself, but keep falling back into the same weakness and making the same mistakes in spite of my best efforts. How to protect myself once and for all? I think you have not been hurt enough. If you were, you would not repeat it again. Does it really move your feelings, your emotion when we do wrong things and say, henceforth, I will not do it again? I have seen time and again that each time we fail with our determination, with our will becomes weaker and weaker. People say, I don't have such a strong willpower. I think willpower is absolutely useless thing. Many people will question my statement, but let me explain. As a child, did you have to use willpower to have ice cream? No. You didn't have to use willpower to have ice cream. Why? Because you loved it so much. You liked its flavor, you liked its taste, the way it felt. But certainly you'll have to use willpower to stay away from it. Precisely, weaknesses and other mistakes that we commit in our lifetime, something that I should not be doing, how to stay away from them once and for all. Often we fail. That's why we seek higher help. Higher help from my higher self. When I pray to God and say to God, my dear God, you are my real goal in my life. All these desires and wishes, they're putting bar to my advancement towards you. Thou art the only God and power to bring us to that stage. So we are invoking godly help. Something we cannot do, we should always solicit somebody else's help. And who better than God's help? And it should not be an ordinary way of asking. At bedtime, before you go to bed, you submit your mistakes to God and say, "My dear God, I'm sorry I committed these mistakes. Please help me not to repeat the same again." And see the effect. In no time, you will see this help will continue pouring, not only to avoid these mistakes, but you will learn to do even better things in life. So the bedtime is the best period in offering a prayer to God and say, "Please help me. Whatever I have done, I would like to get out of it. And something that I have already done, which is so good, I'd like to make it even better." So such should be our attitude with prayer to Almighty. Please try. And you will see kind of contentment and unimaginable peace that you can attract towards your heart. I think this willpower business is quite overrated things. How so and why? See, when you want something get done, let's say you asking someone, "Are you willing to do this?" Means, are you interested in doing this? So, willpower means, are you using your powers into things in which you are interested? If you really have a keen interest, as if your life depends on it, then you will do it. It is this lukewarm approach that delays the transformation. When you have lukewarm water, can you boil rice in it? In lukewarm water, you cannot cook rice. You cannot cook vegetables. In lukewarm relationship will fail. Your beloved spouse will say goodbye perhaps, even though she might stay with you forever. But lukewarm relationship doesn't take us anywhere. So it has to be full-fledged relationship with lot of interest. This relationship within us, between my lower self and higher self. Whenever I do wrong things because of the influences of my lower self, am I crying out loud enough to reach out to the higher self and say, "Never again"? And so we try to build a bridge between lower and higher, between the heart and the mind, between the Atman and Paramatman. And this bridging is called yoga. Through meditation, I don't say that you will be transformed overnight, but little by little, mistakes will be made. But through all those mistakes, we become better and better. When the heart is craving towards absolute transformation, one day I think we'll hit the target with His grace. I would like to thank Dr. Chinmaya Pandya of Dev Sanskriti Vishwavidyalaya, Haridwar, Dr. Acharya Lokesh Muniji of Ahimsa Vishwabharati, and Dr. Nataraj of Sivananda Vedanta Ashram. Grateful to you, sirs. Thank you.